Hujambo, New Life, Jina langu ni Sean Kim. Yes, we took a Swahili lesson and we learned Swahili and realized it was completely useless because everyone in Kenya speaks English. So if you speak English, you can go. And that's, there are a lot of downsides to European colonialism, but thank God for Great Britain taking over Kenya for a little bit so that we can all go and just speak English and everyone knows what we're saying. Funny story, every morning we would wake up early and do our thing, and as we walked to our next assignment, whether it was a school or the hospital or whatever, Peter Jung was a pretty smart guy, he picks up languages pretty quickly. He would, practice his Swahili in the morning and walk by people and say, Hujambo, Jina langu ni Peter Jung, and they'd be like, good morning. Apparently, you don't have to speak Bantu Swahili, which is the majority language. I'm going to tell you a little bit about some other teaching, or I guess other opportunities, including teaching, other than kind of the medical side. So there's a school by the name of Rift Valley Academy. It's actually a school for missionary children. And all the teachers there, whether short-term or long-term, they are missionaries. And their mission is to serve these children, to raise up these missionary kids in terms of their education, so that their parents can really be free and released to do the mission that God has called them to do, whether it's medical, whether it's not. And so it really is kind of a boarding school, because the parents who drop off their children here at Rift Valley Academy, they're serving in various countries all throughout Africa. And even when I was living in Northeast Africa, Djibouti, for about a year, this is about 10 years ago, a lot of the missionaries actually had their kids boarded here, which is how I came to know of it. Anyways, just some real quick background on Rift Valley Academy. Founded in 1906. The cornerstone in the main building, which you see a picture of here, that was laid by Teddy Roosevelt in 1909. So as you know, Teddy Roosevelt completed his presidency around that time, and then he did a lot of tours in Africa, which you can read a lot of books about. But anyways, he visited here and he laid the cornerstone here in the main building. There are 500 students at this school. They're all missionary kids, representing over 30 countries. So you have missionary kids who come from Japan, from Europe, from of course the US, and just all throughout. So it's a very kind of cross-cultural, multicultural school. And one thing that Peter, Tony, and I constantly said while we were visiting the school was, man, I wish my kids could go here. I mean, we talk about all the private schools here in Houston and all throughout the United States, and this is a top-notch quality school. This is not a second-rate, I'm going to sacrifice my children for the mission of God and send them to a bad school. I mean, this is an amazing school. And obviously what makes an amazing school is good programs, good administration, but obviously really good teachers. So what they need really are teachers who are willing to serve. Long-term is preferred, obviously, and then short-term as well. You can even go there and just teach a course for a couple months and come back, things like that. There are a lot of teaching opportunities, various subjects. Particularly, they have urgent needs in math, English, world history, and Spanish is what they told us, and they're on a trimester system as well. What I suggest you guys do if you're interested, particularly if you're a teacher, just Google Rift Valley Academy and just kind of look through the website. We also have a Q&A afterwards, which we can tell you a little bit more about. I actually certified myself to teach English as a foreign language as I was preparing myself to go to Djibouti about 10 years ago, and I taught for about a year. And one of the challenges of serving in Djibouti is I had to learn French, because that's the national language. Of course, I know English. I had to learn a little bit of Somali, a little bit of Afar to speak to people in their local language, and I had to learn Arabic because there are Muslim people. Kenya, just English. I mean, it's just that easy. So, it's just such a good opportunity, I think, to go do that and serve these missionaries and their children. Just some real quick pictures there on the top. That's the entrance to the Rift Valley Academy School. I know it's a little hard to see, but that's really what the entire campus looks like. I mean, flowers, lush green, hills, the great Rift Valley. It's a beautiful place. So even from a very selfish standpoint, if you just want to go on vacation and teach on the side, I mean, this is a great missions opportunity. I would totally take that up. And there on the bottom is a picture of their gymnasium. So any kind of preconception or thought you have about rural Africa, just throw it out the window when you go to Kijabe, because it is a beautiful place. I know we have New Life, we generally like to suffer, but sometimes you can take a break from it and go to Kenya. One of the other ministries that we got to do, so Sandy Lee, who's Burton's wife, she's actually Rift Valley Academy's college counselor, so that provided kind of a unique opportunity as we were, going through debriefing and we were talking about all this different stuff that we did throughout the day. Sandy would mention like, oh, actually, I have some high school seniors who need practicing doing interviewing, do you guys have any tips? And we're like, hey, we should totally just make this a ministry right now, for the next, 30 minutes. So Peter, Tony, and I actually got the opportunity to interview, mock interview 2 students and gave them tips and talked about stuff and looked through their resumes, etc. And so what we realized was this is an awesome opportunity, especially for those of you who are either current college students who just went through college interviews, and you're looking back thinking, man, I wish, I would have said this, or I wish I would have prepped in this way. Since it's so fresh in your mind, this is a great opportunity for you guys as well as graduate students, and really anyone who kind of has a passion in teaching people, how to brush up their resume and how to interview and things like that. So great opportunity, and of course the beauty of it all is you don't even have to go there. Of course it helps if you do, but because their interviews, since they're in Kijabe, Kenya, it's all via Skype. They don't actually fly to those universities, interview, and then come back. They just do it via Skype and other online tools. So that's what you could do also. Of course, dealing with the time zone differences and things like that, which is a small deal. But so that's also another opportunity where many of us here can serve the students there. We really enjoyed this ministry, like I said, with 2 particular students during our visit. One interesting fact is that not a single RVA student in over 100 years of history has been able to get into Rice University, which is interesting. They've had students go to Harvard, Stanford, Yale, and all the universities you can think of, any Ivy League university, but none has breached the wall of Rice University admissions. So we really want to train these people to be the best interviewers that they can be so they can finally say, we have a student who got into Rice. That would be awesome. Last thing, and this is, you could consider this kind of a small or minor ministry or something on the side, but I really don't feel that way. When I was actually living in Africa, one of the ministries that I picked up was to become a piano instructor, because the missionary kids there, they don't have that kind of availability like we do here. And so currently there are no qualified piano instructors in Kijabe to serve the missionary kids. So there are obviously short-term and long-term opportunities for those who have those skills and talents and such to serve these missionaries and serve the missionary kids and teaching them piano and whatever instruments and whatever other talents you may have. When I was living in Africa a decade ago, all the students just assume that I'm related to Jackie Chan and that I know karate. So a lot of them would ask me if I could teach them Kung Fu. And I don't know a thing about Kung Fu, but I said absolutely. And so kind of in our free time, like we would, learn Kung Fu and watch Kung Fu movies and stuff like that. And it's just a really fun way to get to know people. And so there's just so many different ways that you can serve once God places you in a place. And so, be creative and kind of think outside the box. So I guess just to kind of move on to the next step, I want to introduce Peter Jones, your host for a late night. And he'll tell you about some of the other ministry opportunities that we found in Kijabe.